My name is Zita Kruger. Welcome to Infinity Within Coaching Podcast, a place where we explore the connections within and the disconnections within. Those disconnections can lead us into really difficult, toxic spaces in our life. They can also keep us locked to toxic cycles, things that we don't even recognize. So, this is a space where we use lots of tools in order to explore how to have a healthier relationship with yourself, which in turn leads you to having healthier relationships for your entire life. Today is fabulous because we are going to talk about spirituality, not in a guru-y kind of, religious way, but in a way that your innate, that's the very fact that you were born, the innate sense of self, right? That if we're raised in a environment of neglect, an environment of abuse, of trauma, that sense of self might be almost non-existent, right? Just imagine, let me show you. So I've got a candle here, right? Beautiful, yummy, delicious candle. I actually journaled about it today. The candle is important because imagine that moment, like right when you get the candle and it's just perfect and unlit, right? It's perfect. It's perfect. You can see its perfection, but it's not lit. It's not doing its purpose. It's not fulfilling its potential, right? So we are created in a perfect human form, even with birth defects or deformities that we may think that we have. We are created in the spirit of the human perfection form. Just like that candle, until we light it, until we actually create an ignition, a spark, a recognition that it takes flame and gives something back, gives warmth and energy, peace, right? When you have a candle burning, you know how wonderful it is. I had this one going earlier and it has a wooden flame, so it's crackly. Imagine just this scent of peonies filling the room and how beautiful the room is. It's snowing outside. It's a beautiful candle going and a little tiny wooden flame that's crackling. The candle then is at its full potential. It is serving its full purpose. It's why somebody gifted it to me, right? So that I could sit and enjoy it at its most beautiful state. Isn't that interesting? How many of us humans are actually living to our potential, living in our most beautiful state of why we were created? Now you might be going like, I don't even know why I was created. I don't know why I'm here. I don't understand it. I feel very confused. I feel very disconnected. I feel guilty. I feel ashamed. And that is why we're here. We're here to talk about those things. And I want to read you guys something that in my research for today's podcast and my journaling, just my 4 pages of work towards bringing the best message to you today. And to me, this is everything that I share with you is growth that I have experienced and that I truly, deeply believe in because I've seen the work pay off. Okay. So because you were born, that is the evidence that you have a right to a spiritual sense of self. And you have to trust in the reality of a force greater than yourself. It can be very, very confusing and crippling to believe in that. And if it's crippling and confusing if we were raised in neglect, emotional, physical abuse, trauma, if we were raised in a space where we've had a relationship that's kind of shaken our core of self, that could break our spirit. But if we were raised with the neglect, we would have a spirit that's been dampened and tuned to somebody else's needs. somebody else's desires for you. The very outcomes of surviving an abusive childhood can push us further away from our connection to self. And who wins when that happens? Who's the winner? The abuser. The toxic personality is the winner in that situation. They are being served because they are getting your attention, which is their goal. It feeds them. It draws you away from your purpose, from your innate spirituality of self. When that happens, when we pull away from our spirituality of self, it can look like a chronic people-pleasing, a lack of boundaries, relationships, and a trigger fear of abandonment. Ooh, put my hand up on that one. Whew, that was a hard one to break for me a few years ago. Chronic apologizing. Holy hell, I'm pretty sure I apologized for breathing at certain points in my life. Because if you breathe too loud, the eggshells you're walking on are going to fracture and the rage is going to unleash. There's no room for you in a toxic environment. So you squish yourself. You learn survival mechanisms. So why? So you can stay alive. Okay, so we want to get it straight in our head that these, people pleasing, an unconscious desire to fix, rescue, or be chosen. Ooh, pick me. That was me right here. We betray our own needs because we feel guilty and shameful for having needs, right? So disconnected from ourselves. We live with a false sense of who we actually are because we actually don't have a clue who we are. We've never been allowed to develop that. We've never been special in the eyes of unconditional love, which is truly the job of a parent. But if we didn't have parents who could see outside of themselves and give us unconditional love, we don't have a clue what it's like. These childhood neglect symptoms that we experience will also manifest into adulthood in nightmares, intrusive thoughts, insomnia, avoidance, substance misuse, and addiction. I was addicted to people pleasing right here. And food. But I also learned that I didn't have a safe relationship with food because that was even taken away from me. It's insane when you start to dig into what a traumatic childhood can do to you and manifest in you as an adult. Hyperarousal, hypersexuality, disassociation, trust issues, flashbacks, self-harm, interpersonal distress, low or no self-esteem, control issues, anger outbursts. I mean, perfectionism. On and on and on. The complexities go that keep us detached from understanding our spiritual self. And again, why would that be? If we're born with an innate sense of intuition, an innate sense of humanity, why would we be separated from that? Because it serves the person who's doing the separating. Our obedience serves them. So what we want to do is we want to come back around to experiencing ourself. Is spirituality, a sense of our spiritual self and our spiritual being can benefit our mental health. Spiritual beliefs and practices can foster connection and meaning in times of discord in our life. We can turn to our sense of universe, our sense of God, or whatever we believe is a higher calling, right? We were put on this earth not to serve others, but to bring our most genuine, our most beautiful sense of soulful purpose and share it forward with others. Everything that keeps us from doing that is those false if you're a religious person, you would call them false idols. But if you are just working on spirituality, we really would just leave them at abusers, at toxic people, at toxic relationships, toxic circumstances, things that pull you away from the belief that anything is possible for you if you follow who you know you're meant to be. We're taught and trained from every angle, from commercialism. We go to the grocery store and we're told, like, stand in this line, pay with this, don't buy that. Nobody likes that. Everybody likes this brand. Everything in the world is designed for, let me back up. Everything in the world that is trying to pull you away from your spiritual journey of self, from truly encapsulating who you are meant to be, who you were born to be, is trying to sell you a different idea of who you're supposed to be. That's a better way to say it. And we don't want that. I don't want that for you. I want you to walk it boldly and courageously into the unknown, to let go of the only things that you've ever known. Like, if we walk forward in life with blinders of, well, this is how I survived a situation in the past, or this is how I succeeded in the past, so I'm going to do that again and again and again and again, we're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities to explore life and learn and create new experiences for ourselves. We're going to be stuck in ruts so deep that we miss out on a lot of what life is offering us. If we free ourselves up to being open to the idea that the unknown offers opportunity, possibility, enterprise, soulfulness, and that the unknown isn't scary because we're doing all of our work to connect to ourselves. About 4 years ago, I had zero idea that I even had a soul. I was so meek and mild and small in my journey. Maybe it was 5 years ago. And I remember asking my therapist, but I don't even feel like I have a soul. That wasn't actually true. Clearly, I have a soulful self and a soul. The toxic levels in my life had just done their job so well, and it disconnected me completely from my innate spiritual possibility of self. And in turn, they got obedience, they got complacency, they got somebody who would have no sleep so that everything else could be done for them. A people pleaser who was incredibly good at her job. So when we break free of toxic cycles and we begin to explore spirituality, and you can do that in a multitude of ways. It can literally just be doing your trauma work. It can be showing up for yourself in a really unusual way for you. Self-care, sleep, all of these little things, when we break free and chip away at trauma, at our learned responses, at our innate need to have, for those of you that have lived with narcissistic abuse, you'll understand having 300 plans of action. That's a lot of brain work. That's a lot of your time, of your life, tied up in creating what if survival plans so that you have an action and you have all of the tools gathered around you for all of those plans, just so that you can survive in a space that doesn't actually honor you, love you, respect you, recognize your boundaries, recognize you as a human or an individual. That's not safe or healthy. So our spiritual self is incredibly, well, if you're an abuser, it's important to tamp it down, to knock it out, to knock it offline. If you are a healing person, it's going to be pretty shaky ground because you want certainties. And your spirituality is anything but certainty. It is a leap into the unknown. It is a belief in the unknown. It is a belief in your dreams and your hopes and your desires. It is a belief in that innate soulful purpose and reasoning of self. It's something that's not tangible, but it is something that is so productive to creating the tangibles that you want in your life. Every single thing that I have accomplished in the last decade has been like this teeter-totter, maybe until this last year, has been this absolute teeter-totter of what I know and the impossible dreams that I'm living in right this very moment, right? So this is the unknown where I want to be, but this is what I know. And slowly through trauma work, I began to just balance that teeter-totter, right? And now it's literally like, a nice boat ride. I fall backward a little bit, the little ball rolls backward. Oh, go look at that, right? I need to check in on some of my trauma responses. Those aren't very healthy. They never served me well, but they made me survive. So that was good, but that's not where I want to be anymore. I don't want to be just surviving. I want to be thriving, and I want to be living in the unknown of my dreams, right? So I want to be up here and leading through my life with a balance of self. And your spiritual self is a part of you that we shy away from because it isn't seen or tangible or easy for people to recognize when they're breaking free of abuse. But I want you to pull on those threads and work on connecting to your spiritual self. Think of that candle. And remember what happens when we light the match and it flames, and we light the candle and it flames. It's serving its purpose. Candles that sit on the shelf and never get burned, that's like us. That's us before we discover and unleash our potential. And we cannot have our pure potential, the reason that we were put on this earth, ignite if we always play it safe, play it perfect, play it inevitably displayed on the shelf. That's not how we want to live our life. Thank you guys for joining this quick conversation and quick check-in on Infinity Within Coaching podcast. I am your host, Nita Kruger, and today's episode about spirituality is going to be talked about a bit, and I'm looking to put together some worksheets coming out on that too. So check back. Let's see how we can get some more information in front of you, because I think that it is a really missing component. And for everybody who's always like banging the drum on manifestation, which I love the research and idea around manifestation, but it embodies trauma release and the unknown grasp of your innate reason and purpose for being born. And it wasn't to be a candle on the shelf. I don't even have a candle back there because I use them, right? So let's get everything off of the shelf, out of our hidden closets, and let's get out there and work hard at discovering the things about you that you love the most. Don't be shy about it, and don't bottle yourself up and box in your ideas to only what you know and experience, and to only what you can witness through the past. Because the future for you is uncharted, it's unknown, and it's so much more vibrant than you can imagine right now. Here's to a fabulous week of doing your healing work. I look forward to talking to you guys soon.